He is, at the moment, he's the reigning world champion.
I mean, overall, though, in the total history of New Jersey Brawl, we've had Mewtwo King, ADHD, Nairo, you know, different kings. But only one of them took an Apex.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. You know, Apex has a, despite the fact that this region is widely considered the strongest region, not just because we've always had maybe the player considered the best, but the player, but the largest compilation of of powerful players. You know, shout-outs to SoCal.
SoCal definitely a strong rival for that title.
Yeah, exactly.
So many good players down there in both games.
Yes, exactly. So shout-outs to SoCal, but we've had just so many crazy powerhouses in this region, like Anti's dominance, Mewtwo King. Let's not forget Spammer. Shout-outs to Spammer. I believe he has a game and has been playing it.
That's good to hear, man. Yeah. I saw him at Summer Jam 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, and always good to see that guy's face around.
Yeah,
glad
definitely.
To see he's
Much
interested.
Love for Kashif, so shout outs to him. But yeah, we've had so many dominant players. There was a while when Ally was coming here like every weekend.
That's what I was gonna say.
Destroying the scene. Zero's in Pennsylvania right now. Not too far.
The tri-state region, just
exactly.
Very, very
it's
scary.
Ridiculous, so definitely glad to call this my home.
Also, shout outs to Chibo, because without having such a prominent streamer in this region, we wouldn't have so many hype tournaments.
Absolutely.
I gotta say.
Yeah, and we wouldn't be able to. Maybe we'd have the tournaments, but the fact that we get to share them with you guys is what makes it awesome. So Nairo did pick Zelda, as I predicted, but that's not Fox.
And NAKAT is using Lucina, in Japanese, Lucina, actually. And she's, I don't know, she is Marth, pretty much. Very much faster than Marth, no sweet spot on her sword. Makes her a little bit more accessible, but I'm not sure how I feel about the Fire Emblem characters overall.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We have to see. This doesn't look like it's going to be a heavy zoning game. I mean, obviously, spacing and zoning are always going to play a big role in fighting games, but it looks like burst approaching is a very relevant option here. The grab game of all the characters seems to be quite relevant, and the approach options of most characters seems to be strong. So, where Marth had a big advantage in previous games because his range let him approach, it doesn't look like everybody needs that, because the game is definitely a lot faster in Brawl. That much is very obvious.
Yeah, at least in terms of the flow of the combat.
Yeah.
Brawl pretty quick movement-wise once, the players mastered it, but this game, I mean, oh, look at that. The soft down air from Zelda. Taking out NAKAT's first stock. Nairo only 16 damage to show for himself, but it looks like NAKAT using those invincibility frames to the fullest advantage.
Yeah, definitely Nairo's experience on Zelda showing. NAKAT still trying to pick up a little bit more, I guess you could say, prowess on how to be a master swordsman. He's working on it. He's got to maybe spend some more time in the JoJo. We saw an example of a pivot F tilt there.
Yes, definitely.
And, the use of that could be huge once players start to really get that down. Those are the types of things that I think will blast Lucina's metagame forward into a more viable state.
I very much agree with that. Marth's forward tilt, a fairly underused move in general.
Counter appears to be way stronger.
It is, and that forward smash, you see, even at the tip of the sword, it has the same power as the rest of her full blade.
Yes, but it was enough power.
Yes. And, I mean, she's not weak, don't get me wrong. Just because she doesn't have a tipper doesn't mean she has low knockback. She's kind of reminiscent of, like, halfway between Roy and Marth.
Oh.
So, yeah, kind of like Ike in that it doesn't matter. Wow, beautiful combos from NAKAT, but only picking up 32 damage. He's a full stock behind right now. And, oh, Nairo's not going to fall into that forward smash.
Now, one thing I have to say is, I don't know how I really feel about Lucina's forward throw, because from what I've seen, there's virtually, not only are there no follows, but you can't really get a trap off of it. Alright, but the thing that I do like about the forward throw, I mean, many characters have forward throws that don't give you forward throws or traps. It's just that when I think of Marth, Marth has never been known for throwing you to gain stage control. Marth has been known for throwing you because it gives him setups and potential combos and things of this nature. So Lucina's forward throw doesn't really match his pattern, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because a throw that can just give you the stage with a zoning character like Marth or Lucina can be really good, because these are the types of characters that are traditionally very good at ledge traps and edge games and edge guarding. So that's something I want to keep an eye on. Like, it could be that simply getting the grab, putting your opponent on or near the ledge or off the stage. Good read attempt there, trying to just land that KO. But yeah, throwing them forward and then just trying to get the read, trying to figure out, okay, now that they're off the stage, their options are way more limited by the lack of the ability to move backwards, throw mix-ups, throw ground moves, use the same ground shield defensive game, and these sorts of options. Now that these are all removed from my opponent, how do I trap them?
It seems to be a very common theme in this game that throws either have set-ish knockback or send you very far away. But wow, Nairo, 2 stock, 87%. for the first game. Now, Zelda, a character that a lot of people thought after playing the demo, wow, she's weak. She's not any better than she has been in Melee or Brawl. Typically a low-tier character in the Smash series, but it looks like Zelda has definitely had some serious overhauls, namely that up-B teleport being like a rest-esque KO move, which is crazy.
Not only just the fact that the power on the move has been buffed, but I've said it before and I've said it and I'll say it lots of times again, just the nature of the new ledge mechanic has buffed so many recoveries. Range is king.
It really has.
If you have the range that Zelda has to get back to the ledge from so far away, you don't have to worry about actually getting the edge because your opponent can't just grab it away from you. And combined with the fact that you can recover to that ledge from so far away, it also means that edge guards against you will be less effective as long as your opponent's not able to get in range. So you can just simply use an invincible teleportation. Well, you're invincible while you're teleporting from such a great distance away to then get back to the edge. Now we have Little Mac. Versus Zelda.
On my favorite stage in the game, Magicant in Final Destination mode. This is a map from Earthbound. It just looks absolutely beautiful. The sky rips open, and it has gameplay from Earthbound, you know, Ness walking around. Chibo, I'm sorry, I thought you were making that face at me when you were like, oh, it's Mother 1? Okay, yeah. I was going to say, it's either Mother 1 or Earthbound, but either way, this stage is beautiful, and...
yeah, it looks really good.
This time, NAKAT in a lot stronger control of the match, only taking 27% so far. Little Mac, a demon on the ground. Let's talk about this character
I was about to
say,
I think Little Mac was a really, really intelligent choice to answer Zelda because Zelda, no exception from the previous games, Zelda's a very ground-based character. She relies on tilts a lot, relies on some grabs, relies on good reads, and her aerial moves are all requiring of a critical hit. They don't really, you know, she can't really jump up in the air and zone you or try and necessarily approach. She really relies on using her aerials as a follow-up once she gets you off the ground, and she uses tools like grab, dash attack, and tilts to do that. Now, Little Mac is a character who completely destroys you on the ground, has amazing KO potential, as you can see.
Speaking of, the KO punch itself.
You know, he moves on the ground incredibly fast, so, you know, what options does Zelda really have against this? You can't really send too many Din's Fires at him, because Little Mac's movement speed on the ground is just going to outpace that move, and Zelda's going to be open. And then Zelda's tilts and Zelda's zoning is just no match. So the only thing I really see that Zelda might have against Little Mac is maybe the pivot grab, which you see Nairo going for a little bit. But again, with the speed of Little Mac, it's almost very risky to go for this pivot grab. And you can just see the damage racks up. And even in the damage racking up contest, Little Mac's got the advantage. And in the KOing aspect of the matchup, Little Mac has still got the advantage. In the speed aspect of the matchup, he's got the advantage. And in the zoning aspect of the matchup, Little Mac's just got the advantage because neither of these characters really zones each other all that well, but Little Mac can just constantly apply offensive pressure. So...
oh, and he can't recover.
Yeah, his recovery is really actually terrible, but you need it for a character with that much offensive ability. He has to have a defined weakness, and I'm glad that Sakurai realized that from a balanced perspective.
Yes, he's simply awful in the air, whether he's off stage or even on the stage. As you can see, his aerials do like 1 to 4 damage each. His neutral air actually kind of good to land and combo with, but you'll just mostly see this character on the ground where every single one of his moves is absolutely absurd. They come out very fast. All of his smash attacks have super armor, which means he can absorb hits.
Look at that. It's incredible power.
All right, there goes game 2. Now we have an even set. Definitely looking forward to what the final matchup of the set is going to be, because I think Nairo is scratching his chin in that I shouldn't be Zelda for the next game.
Yeah, definitely not. I definitely don't see Zelda as a viable option against Little Mac at all. I think it's a hard counter.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Zelda, not known for her boxing skills,
yeah,
literally and figuratively, you know. She does not have close-up game to that degree. All of her moves kind of come out slower, are less prevalent in the area that their hitboxes cover. And I don't know. I do disagree with sticking, and I'm glad it looks like Nairo's going to move off of the Princess of Hyrule.
Yeah, the only thing I would say was a little bit unexplored in that match. I didn't really want to mention it in the commentary because I didn't want to influence the gameplay too much. But I know that Zelda's neutral B has invincibility on the startup in Brawl. I have no idea if that property of Zelda's neutral B carried over, but another property of Zelda's neutral B in Brawl is that it always hits you the direction Zelda's facing. So, given good timing, something that I would do when playing as Zelda, a character I played a lot in Brawl, is if I know my opponent's going to attack me with, is going to approach me with an attack, you can then use Nairu's Love to catch them off guard and then send them off the stage.
Oh.
And you know, when you're Little Mac, it's really, really good when you have that type of neutral B move that lets you catch them punish them for hitting you with a non-priority approach or a non-range approach, which Little Mac's moves aren't priority or range. Aren't disjointed or range, and then maybe send him off stage that way and then abuse his bad recovery. But we didn't see that in that game. We do see a switch to Reflet, who has a countering ability, which could be very useful in this match if you read an approach.
Yeah, Robin, aka Reflet in Japanese, for some reason with a French name. A lot more zoning-based character than most, but also formidable close-up with the Bronze Sword and the Levin Sword. Definitely a dangerous character in the close quarters, and also at that mid-range where Little Mac is going to have to try to capitalize to get in. It's a lot easier to get in on Zelda from those ranges. Oh, okay, not getting caught under the stage. It seems Battlefield is very amicable to recoveries.
Absolutely. And another thing I want to point out is, just looking at Reflet's moveset, we see a lot of projectiles with hitboxes that have very long durations, and that linger on the stage a little bit, even when Reflet isn't able to move. I've seen at least 2 projectiles that are used for setting up traps in this situation. So when you take that into consideration, putting a barrier between yourself and Little Mac kind of puts him on the defensive for a bit, or at least, maybe if not on the defensive, it prevents him from approaching you from a temporary standpoint. I don't really see Little Mac having options to running through that fire.
Yeah,
right? That allows you to then take a time to relax, analyze the game state, get some space, set up further traps, and additionally, maybe consider offensive options of your own. So we definitely see the Reflet pick being very good. Little Mac just can't run through these high priority hitboxes from this projectile moveset and from this weaponry and from this magic.
And there goes the Levin Sword. You saw it expired in uses, so it popped out of Nairo's Robin from behind. That actually can be picked up and used as an item before it regenerates, but it disappears very quickly upon falling out. Oh, going for Nosferatu, trying to heal himself. Nairo right now getting knocked off the stage for his trouble. Still a stock ahead, though. Oh, gets on with the ledge hop forward air. And tries to go for... Oh, no, that was grab, I believe.
Okay.
Her grab and counter looks somewhat
Little
similar.
Mac actually getting into Reflet's zone a little bit right there. However, Reflet playing very slow, very patient, very defensive, doesn't want to get in, instantly tries to find a way out, put up the fire in between them, use that as a wall, sends Little Mac soaring, and Little Mac does not have the ability to just rush Reflet down the ways that we were with Zelda. I mean, he's being forced to jump because, quite frankly, you just can't run through the fire. He just doesn't have the ability to do that, and
also can't run through a sword, especially an electric sword. The Levin Sword, of course, the smash attack variant of Reflet / Robin's close-up game. It comes out when you do a smash input, which also happens in the air.
Now, was that an aerial command grab there I saw?
The down B,
yeah.
The dark magic, yes,
yeah.
That's a command grab. And you can actually use it for suicide kills, we figured out, but it's pretty situational. Don't start going for that.
It looks like it was very close range type of attack.
Yes, it is.
From some of the whiffs I've seen.
Actually heals Robin by 15%
Yeah, Nosferatu, the dark healing spell from Fire Emblem.
Yep, and there's L-Fire, which seems to be a vastly improved version of Ness's PK Fire, meaning that the pillar activates even if you whiff the move, which makes it really useful in preventing opponents, especially like Little Mac, from getting in.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as Reflet is a relevant character, you know, I think that Little Mac's going to have a really hard time developing. So I'll definitely say that, you know, people are saying, okay, so Little Mac sucks because, you know, he has such a weak recovery and an exploitable ground game, as we're seeing is demonstrated here in this match. But one thing I'll say is, if you look at the Zelda match, he'll always have a relevant place in the metagame because for so long as grounded characters are strong, nice KO punch there. So for long as ground-based characters are strong, like if Zelda ends up being a strong character against many other characters, then Little Mac will be a relevant answer to there. And it makes me think, you know, when you see this many unique playstyles, you do start to develop some hard counters in the game. And having such a big roster, it could be that as long as you don't have too many characters that are just way over good against everybody, we can have a lot of character diversity in that way, just because Little Mac will be relevant so as long as he has characters which he can fight. Reflet doesn't seem to be one of those characters, though.
No, this is a character, Little Mac, who's going to have very polarized matchups. Either he's going to win them by a lot or lose them by a lot. Yeah, and maybe he'll have a few even ones here and there, but as you could see, the stark difference between Zelda and Robin / Reflet, you know, as long as we're playing on the Japanese version, it's definitely a very large difference. Zelda cannot combat him up close. She doesn't really have that mid-range game. You know, her forward smash